Welcome back to another episode of DIJAH Cafe, where we keep it real, relevant, and rooted in purpose. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of DIJAH Cafe. I am your host, Khadijah Steward, and here at DIJAH Cafe is where we keep it real, relevant, and rooted in purpose. Tonight, guys, I have such an awesome guest for you. Dr. Tsitsi Hungwe. I believe I pronounced it correctly. I hope not. She's going to correct me if I did it wrong. She has transformed her life. We went from being a doctor in the dental field to empowering women in career. Dr. Tsitsi, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's Tsitsi.
Tsitsi. I'm going to get it right by the end of the show. I promise. It's such a beautiful name. I
Thank
want
you.
to give you a little bit of bio of who you are so that my audience can understand exactly this major transformation that you've made. So Dr. Tsitsi Hungwe is a Zimbabwean American keynote speaker, corporate trainer, writer, and early career transition coach. Drawing from her years in the dental industry, she equips women professionals to confidently start, advance, or pivot in new careers. As founder and CEO of High Mountaintops LLC, she empowers students and professionals worldwide with her CALM method. We're going to talk about that tonight. A framework for mastering mental resilience and mindset in career transitions. She's delivered transformative keynotes and leadership trainings for organizations, including the Leadership Experience Tour, University of Michigan Women in Leadership Conference, and Leadership Hendricks County. An independent certified speaker, trainer, and coach with the Maxwell Leadership Team, Dr. Tsitsi is also a contributing author in an upcoming leadership anthology, further amplifying her vision to inspire the next generation of leaders. So, Dr. Tsitsi, that's a whole lot that you've done. If we can just dial it all the way back to the beginning, right? You're in college, you're thinking about career. What happens there?
Okay. I love the taking it back to my college years. I actually evolved in my decision making when I started college. Initially, when I started college, I knew I was interested in studying the sciences, and so I was a biochemistry major. And I was trying to figure out what is it that I want to do. It's the what do you want to be when you grow up? And I found myself in my second year still shadowing, and I was gravitating towards the healthcare field, still shadowing, looking into different fields in the medical field. And as I reflected back to my experience with my dentist in Michigan, I realized I'd always had pleasant experiences with my dentist. She was a role model. She was a woman of her generation who inspired me as a practice owner who was thriving. And it dawned on me one of the days that maybe explore the dental industry, maybe a dentist. And I shared that with her, and I will never forget her response. She encouraged my interest, which meant so much to me, and allowed me to shadow her. And the rest is history. I decided to become a dentist, and I'm the first in my lineage in the dental profession. And so I'm the first dentist in my family.
Awesome. It's interesting because, when you say, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I don't think a lot of times that adults understand the impact, right, that they're having on the youth. So then you became a dentist. How many years were you a dentist?
I It's been about 8 years now. I
Okay.
finished my undergrad years and then I went to dental school for 4 years and I've been
Mm.
practicing now for nearly 8 years.
And then something else sparked in you. Something else was itching. And what was it?
So I found myself in during the pandemic, 2020, as you all remember, everything shut down. We were in quarantine, and that was the first time, Khadijah, that I actually took a beat, took some time to pause. I wasn't working for several months, and during that time, I began to think about my life. But then I went back into the workplace in end 2020. And as I walked into 2021, I always mention I was at the height of my career because, I was getting into my groove into the dental industry. And I found myself with this dichotomy where I was doing well within my profession, but also feeling internally lost,
Mm.
confused,
Wow.
anxious. And in fact, I sank into a dark hole.
Wow.
And I remember feeling in February of 2021 that, is this it?
Wow.
Is this why am I here? And it's interesting because I fought that because I thought, well, I should be grateful, which I am grateful, but I also didn't understand the feeling. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, if I'm here to work and add value for the next 30 years, is that really what I'm supposed to be doing? And it wasn't about the profession, it was more so about understanding why I was here. And fast forward, as the months went on, I kept feeling torn. I felt stuck. I felt lost. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll just, get out of this. I will get back into my groove. And I realized that I didn't get that clarity.
Wow.
I end up Googling on the internet, and I do believe this was divine. I found some information, and I found some information about a John Maxwell program, and I thought, well, okay, sure, I'll fill out this form. I'm not really sure exactly what this is about, but it seems to be different from what I'm doing. Maybe I can meet like-minded people who can help me. And that's literally what I was thinking. I was searching when
Mm.
I was at a point where I was searching and open to so much that I was looking for whatever could help. And so I end up going on and I joined the John Maxwell team. Fast forward. I meet one of the co-founders at the time, it was called the Black Entrepreneur Institute. Now it's called the Business Excellence and Impact Group. And
Okay.
I was invited on Juneteenth to a connection. It's called Connect and Collab event for entrepreneurs. And I thought to myself, Khadijah, well, I'm not an entrepreneur. I mean, but sure, I'll
Right.
join. I'm interested maybe in networking with some folks and different from my typical circle. I'm searching, right? So I'm thinking, let me go ahead. I met this particular co-founder as part of the John Maxwell team, seems to be of added value. So I attend that event and it was pivotal. I will never forget. Because after that day, it allowed me to be in the room with people I had not encountered. I had never been in the room,
Mm.
business owners who talked about mindset and elevating yourself and that there was more. And it wasn't articulated in that sense, but it really opened up my eyes. And I said, you know what? Let me add, and I added someone on Facebook that had been in the room. Fast forward a couple months later, I found out about this business boot camp. And I say all that to say, I literally, when I say I was searching. I found
Wow.
this business boot camp opportunity and I thought to myself, well, I'm not an entrepreneur, but I kind of justified it to myself and I said, well, maybe something to occupy my time and get out of the flow of like my everyday work. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I justified it as a class, even though I
Oh,
was
okay.
trying to start a business. You see me there right there?
So let me stop you for a second because you never thought about entrepreneurship prior to the stuck feeling?
No,
Wow. Why do you think that was?
I did not have the awareness.
Ah, okay.
Mhm.
Okay. You thought entrepreneurship was just this thing that people did, or because you
I
had so much education?
Mhm. I remember thinking to myself that, I knew in my own life that, opening a practice was not something that I desired to do. So I thought, I'm putting myself in the box and I'm looking around, look at my peers. I either teach or open up a practice. And I say, well, is there something else more for me? And I was kind of putting myself in a box. And without the awareness and exposure, I thought maybe this is it. But as
Wow.
I become exposed, I learn about other opportunities and that I can actually be multidimensional.
You found your voice. Oh my
Hmm.
gosh, you finally found your voice. So, what are some of the biggest mindset blocks that you see women, kind of like with you, right? They have this career path that they're set there, and it becomes a mindset block. So, what are some of those mindset blocks that women go through? in navigating career.
Mhm. I think some of the challenges are feeling like have to make the right decision, quote unquote.
Mm,
What is the right decision? And I learned through my journey, and I always unpack my journey, that sometimes it's not about knowing the end and what is going to transpire. Sometimes it's following the next best step. What is
mm,
that persistent nudge that is telling you, do this, move left, go on this link, attend
mm.
this event, just as I did? And so rather than focusing on the decision itself, sometimes it's following that next best step. And so that can be a challenge. And then also being in a position where you may say, you know what, I have maybe a picture of what I want to do, but it might not be clear to me, and actually accepting that it is okay to not have everything figured out in the moment, because sometimes time will reveal
Mm.
itself. And as you know, from as I unfold my own journey, I was searching and I found myself now am the chief executive of Higher Mountaintops. And that happened because I just followed all the next best step. So that's what I will say.
So, in other words, I don't have to have it all together. Just because I have a PhD
Mhm.
or a medical degree, I don't
Mhm.
have to have it all together just because I've worked in a field for 10 years with a degree, huh? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Why do you think we feel that that's like the final end goal? Why do we feel like we can't kind of navigate through time in the next best moment? I love the way you said that.
Mhm.
Why do we feel that way, you think, sometimes?
You know, I will personalize it for myself. For a long time, I was following, there was a certain sequence of events that would occur. I would finish, my undergrad, and I would go on to dental school, and it's kind of like you're following, okay, this is how the plan is laid out. It seems to make sense. And then once I launched into my career, I figured out, okay, I'm no longer here for a graduation. This is my life, right?
Right,
You know?
right.
I'm not following
Mhm.
like a, sequence of events. I'm not saying that that wasn't what I wanted to do, but what I'm saying is it opens up then the door to kind of navigate life for myself
Mhm.
independently. And I think sometimes it's okay. For me, it was, what should I be doing?
Right,
What is
right.
the dentist supposed to be doing? And that's one part of it. And then it's also then
Mm,
having predisposed expectations about when things should happen, how they
mhm.
should happen, where I should be. And those are things that I've done a lot of self-work to work through and understand that I am where I'm supposed to be. And the next best step will be revealed to me. And so those are the things that I would share.
I love the fact that you're saying that, right? You're allowing time to be a
Mhm,
part of the equation. I
mhm,
know we go to college and we're always, it seems like we're rushing time, right? Like we're
mhm,
just trying, like you're trying to get to graduation. We're trying to
mhm,
get to that next accomplishment. But
mhm,
how do we know when we're really ready for a transition or we're just afraid of being stuck? Because that can happen sometimes as well, right? Like, how do I know that? Am I just afraid that I'm stuck here because I haven't completed everything I'm supposed to complete in this phase? Or am I really ready to transition? How do I tell the difference?
mhm. And it's interesting you use that word ready, right? Anytime I've taken a step, even over my career, never really felt I had arrived. And that's something I've had to dispel that myth, right? It's like someday I will arrive at the point where I will have the full details and feel ultimately ready. Number one, I think that the main thing about knowing when to move on is listening to that voice within. If there's something that is nudging you consistently, even if you are not clear exactly what it is, day after day, and it could be you, it could be an individual right now. They set their goals in January, said, yes, 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 2025 is my year. I will finally apply for that job and step up and into that role and get that promotion. And yet it is August 21st. and still in the same spot. And day after day, that thought keeps prolonging and nudging you. If you are going between that, torn between where you should be, but feeling stuck, then that is worthwhile taking a pause and saying, is it the fear that's holding me back
Mm.
potentially? And I'm just not taking that next best step? Because if it's day after day, and I'm saying that metaphorically, coming to your awareness, then that's potentially an indicator that you might want to consider if it's time to move on.
And it's interesting because, we get stuck in what's safe,
Mhm.
right? So it's safe to accomplish something, have the plan, and then move into the plan. But like you said, when COVID came, right? Now, people that had positions and careers and fields, they're re-looking at everything and they're saying, well, what am I going to do if, right? And I'm sure you had the same issue. So, what advice for a professional who's great at their job and what they're doing, but they're unsure of how to translate, like you were saying, that I have another skill. Like you said, something's in my head, something's telling me there's more to this. I'm just not finished. How do I find the words? Is taking a pause going to be enough to find the words? Am I going to have to seek out a coach like yourself? Do I Google? Like, what do I do to try to find my voice?
Mhm. I love that question. I always believe where we are supposed to be. And one of my coaches said it best that wherever we are, we try to focus on, and I've tried to do that, focus on what I can get, meaning what can I learn from this? How can I leverage my current role within my job, but then also give in the moment? And I say all of that to say one thing that one might want to consider is in the current role that they are, what are things that that role and the everyday situations that they're navigating, what are they teaching them? Because I believe that everything we are in, and including experiences, including the challenges, even in the workforce, are teaching us some things. I give an
Mhm.
example. Over the years in my career as a dental professional, when I first began, I realized it was being a great dentist was more than just, doing great dental services and doing a great, procedure. There was the people side of it, but also the conflict
Mhm.
management. And
Mhm.
as I began to embrace that more, over the years, I became the go-to person in a
Mhm.
variety of ways. And now, as an entrepreneur, I teach that. That is one
Mhm.
of my signature topics is conflict resolution. And I understand it in a vast way because I have had those experiences on a constant basis in my profession. And so my main tip would be to leverage the skill set and the lessons learned within your job. And then sometimes then the gap is, well, I know I'm able to do this. I know how to do this. And just as I shared from my experience, reach out. Reach out. A mentor can also help to uncover, the gifts that you have and help you to take that next step forward because I believe we're not self-made, as well as a
Mhm.
coach. And that's something that I provide, which is helping those who are looking for something more and look
Mhm.
see how they can transfer that in their next chapter.
So now you're tapping into something, something I'm needing more. How do I
Mhm.
know whether it's imposter syndrome or not? Right? Am I stuck here because I'm really nervous as to whether I'm going to fail because I might be going into something I know nothing about, and or I may need to spend another 4 years, right, and getting some education in it. How do I know whether it's actually imposter syndrome or is it just really a lot that I'm going to be taking on?
Mhm. One of the things that I learned, and I feel like she didn't say it exactly in this way, but I did learn this for my mentor, Angela Hooper Manifield, is the idea of listening to our body. Listening to
Mm.
your body knows. When you think about thoughts in your head, what type of feeling are you having in that moment? When you think about
Mm.
stepping into that promotion, are you tensing up? Stress can also manifest. in a physical way. You know, do you feel lighthearted? What are you feeling when you have those thoughts? And it's important also to then make a note. You know, there's value as well in making a note and seeing, hey, what are your thoughts right now about what's in your mind, and jotting that down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And really authentically taking the time, another thing that I learned from her, to sit still. And I remember
Mm.
the first time she ever mentioned sitting still, I was like, what do you mean sit still? Like watch television?
Right,
And I'm gonna
right,
be
right.
candid with you. So I thought, she's talking, I'm sure I will sit still for a moment. And I thought, what does she mean by sit still? She meant like sit still, meaning with your thoughts. Don't be in a
Mm.
rush to rush and draw conclusions or jump into the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when we
Mm-hmm.
give ourselves time to sit with our thoughts and really think through, then we want to then evaluate what is coming to our awareness during that time.
Mm.
What are those
Yes,
thoughts? The thought could
right.
be reach out to this person, reach out to Dr. Tsitsi. She talked about transitions, how to navigate that. I need help. The thought could be send that email. It's really in those moments of silence, which is why I
Mm.
feel COVID, although there was many challenges, and I don't want to make light of that. It did
Mhm.
give me the chance to pause and to sit with my thoughts.
Wow. Mm. That's interesting, sitting with thoughts. So, how long is sitting too long? Because I can say I'm going to think about it today. I'm going to
Mhm.
think about it tomorrow. I'm going to think about it next week, but I still haven't taken that step. So, how
Mhm.
long is too long?
My question, if one is asking that, is as you wait, what else is going through your mind? Are you also thinking,
Mm.
I really should do this? It's been since January. I had these goals. And it's more about, are you currently in agreement, is what I will say, with the thought of waiting another day,
Mm.
not
In
taking
agreement
action.
with it.
Are you in
Right.
agreement? When I say that metaphor, are you in agreement with the thought to wait another day? Or should you
Mhm.
just take the next best step?
Just jump in it, right?
Hmm. That's
Yeah,
right.
sometimes we can get into our thoughts too much, right? We can just do too much thinking.
Mhm.
So let's talk about leadership. And I want you to talk to me a little bit about calm after we talk about leadership. But what does authentic leadership mean to you, especially for women navigating the male dominated world? So I'm not going to date myself, but getting a job or starting a career wasn't that difficult when I was out there, right? It was literally you did your resume, you did your cover letter, you connected with someone, you had an interview, and then you have a job. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you take a course, you get a grant, right? You go find your customers and you just run your business. Well, things are totally different now with AI, internet being like the main source. Like you and I here now are even recording via internet, right? We're not even in the same studio. What does that look like now for someone trying to navigate that? Let's say they've never been in a leadership position before, but they feel like, I think it's time for me to take that step into leadership. What does
Mhm.
that look like for me as far as planning is concerned? I've sat with myself for a minute. I've said, okay, fine, I want to go into leadership now. But what does
Mhm.
it look like for me? What are some of the things that I should be talking to myself about? What are some of the skills that I should be improving on?
Mhm. Great question. I love that. I learned over the course of my career as a dental professional, as I reflected back, that all along in my life, I had opportunities to actually, in fact, be an informal leader in many ways. When I was on campus as a college student and helping out with student clubs, I realized as I entered the workforce that I was already a leader. And my dad used to tell us, he raised three girls, and there's my brother as well. And he used to say, "You're a leader." And I never really understood that. So for me, number one, it's owning it. Even if I didn't see it at the time, like I am a leader, meaning I will embody and I will embrace that, because it's also about the self-talk. So that would be the first step, because mindset is everything. And then after that, as we look to, and I'm speaking to those, especially, that may be entering the workforce, yes, there may be the technical skills and the books that we learn in school, but then how to transfer that and then step into those roles and not only apply the technical skills, but then the soft skills needed. Part of that is going to be, jumping right into it and embracing the process, but then also throughout my career, I've also learned the value of mentorship.
Hmm.
Mentorship matters. And the question I often get is, how do I find a mentor?
Yes.
It could be somebody on the job who you find anytime you have a question. And that was for me. I had a question. I would have somebody that I could go to and ask questions. And I found over time, I was always that person that I initiated the contact. I found over time that, hey, this person, even though they're not calling themselves a mentor, could be helpful to help in my leadership skills. And so I would recommend the self-talk as well finding that mentorship because no one is self-made.
Awesome. So talk to the self-talk. Does calm have anything to do with that self-talk?
Yes, it
That's your
does.
signature program. Talk to
Mhm,
me a little bit about calm and how does that help a female, right? A woman leader that's just pivoting. I'm transitioning from a career to something new.
mhm. Yeah, the calm method arose based on the experiences that I had had as I reflected on I used to get, how did I become a dentist to an entrepreneur? What was that process? And I wanted to be able to articulate and provide something as a gift to those who are coming in behind me, early professional women. And I realized all the steps that I took as I unpacked my story, I had to get the clarity, and that's the C for the calm method. I had to assess my options. And when I meant the assessing the options, sometimes it wasn't always clear to me that it was A or B, but it was really about really making a note about what options could I potentially have. And at the time, that entrepreneurship became in my awareness. And then the L means leaning into the fear. And when I mean leaning into the fear, oftentimes we label fear, this is bad, we need to not be fearful. I'm a person of faith and I believe that we are meant to step into our greatness and more. But I also believe that there's something to be said about, when we are fearful, asking, why do I feel fearful? And helping us also to think into what is it that could potentially be holding you back. And then lastly, after unlocking all of that, the limiting beliefs, then it's time to move. And that's the M. It's time to move on. It's time to launch into action. And it's time to move towards what I believe is the higher potential, which is what I call the higher mountaintops. And so the calm method is really my way of articulating how I moved from where I was to where I wanted to be. I haven't
Mhm.
arrived. Life is a journey. There are many more mountaintops for me to climb, but it's also my way of giving back a gift and helping other early professionals to step into their greatness, because that's really the next chapter for me is to continue to lay that foundation so that other women will also ascend into their greatness.
Oh my gosh, leaning into fear. So my fear is I'm going to fail, right? I don't want to do this new thing because if I don't do well at it, then I have to start all over again. How do I talk to myself as I'm going through this to keep pushing, right? That's that little engine that could, right? You keep pushing, you keep pushing. What are some words that I can use to think about? I'm a word person. I have words that I keep in my mind whenever I'm doing something. What are some good words to keep in my mind?
Mhm. And the first word that came to me, and I know there's the thoughts that we have, and then there's also then, is this actually true? So my question would be, why? And the sub part of it
Mm.
is, why would failure be something that you perceive to have you as needing to start all over? Is that true? So why?
Hmm.
I would also ask, could it be? And that's a phrase, but I'm saying, could it be that on the other side of your fear is possibility?
Oh, wow. Hmm. So I might be afraid of the possibility of success, even, huh? Not
Mhm.
just failure, but even success.
Yes.
Interesting. So, what are some tips? And I know this is, I know you get this all the time. What are some interview tips, right, for someone that's just transitioning? Because it looks different, right? You've done something for, say, 10, 15 years, and now you're transitioning into something new. What are some things that I need to keep in mind as I'm navigating this new world that I'm venturing into?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity over my career as well to be interviewed and also to interview others. And one of the things that I think about when it comes to interviewing is sometimes they're thinking about what can we, are they going to go ahead and accept us for the position?
Mm.
I've started showing up in the last couple of years in my career as let me go into this interview to see if this is an alignment with what I'm
Oh.
looking for. And so
Mhm.
I go in there, I listen, I respond, but then I also ask questions. So my first tip would be to make sure, as you go in there, go in there with an attitude of assessing if this is also an alignment. Because you are of
Mhm.
value. They've clearly asked you for an interview. So you are of value. And so it's also an opportunity for you to assess if this is an alignment with you, a good fit. And then, second of all, asking if there's an opportunity. I'm in an industry where, it's an office setting. And sometimes I've also asked if I can, do speak to others beyond the person that I'm interviewing with and see if there's
Mm.
any other opportunity, even if it's a walkthrough, it gives you a sense of the environment. I'm speaking more from a dental environment, but just a walkthrough to get an opportunity to see who works there. And then I also like to ask as well, what it is, get very clear on what they're looking for
Mm.
this particular position. And then
Okay.
I also lastly like to find out then why it is that they are interested in fulfilling the position. And so those are things that I like to ask, and they give me a lot of clarity.
So questions kind of give you a little bit more control then.
Mhm.
In asking those questions, you feel a little less fearful. I
Yes.
like that. I like that. What role, we talked about mentorship. So if I'm searching for a mentor, what should I be looking for? Should the mentor be aligned with what I'm going to do and what industry I'm going into? Or should the mentor be more aligned with my personality? Like, how do I even start to look for a mentor?
Mhm. Mhm. That's a great question. I get that question asked often, Khadijah, and I feel that, there's going to be, as we navigate our lives, and I know this from my personal experience, different people that will come along, some for a season and some for a lifetime. And in different areas of our life, we may have different mentors. So there may be areas in my life where I need a mentor within my workplace specifically. There may be a mentor, if you're a person that is looking to, have personal development in a different capacity, you may need that mentor or a coach. And I would say one of the things that I have found to be most helpful, because it was something that I really sought for many years, was a good mentor holistically. And I was able to find
Mhm.
that. And I will speak to one of my close mentors and what I believe she embodies. I hope to be as great of a mentor as her as Angela Hooper Manyfield. What I appreciate about her is that she's very open. We have a generational difference. She's of a different
Mhm.
generation, but she's always spoken to me in a way that I never felt that gap. And so
Wow.
I would say approachable is a criteria that is very important for me. And I learned that she was approachable through contact way before I was interested in getting to know her in a close capacity and officially calling her my mentor. Approachable is a
Mhm.
quality that's important in a mentor for me. And then also getting clear on the gaps that I had, because the mentor can give me what they have, but also fully expressing what is it that I'm looking for, what is it that I'm needing at this time. And it wasn't necessarily a formal conversation in all areas of life, but over time, as she got to know me and I was open enough, she also then was able to help me in certain areas. And so I would say approachable, and then making sure that you're open and clearly communicating what is it that you believe they could be of added value for
Okay.
my life.
So I don't have to have it all together before I go see the mentor. I can still kind of not understand everything that I need to know, basically.
Absolutely.
Cool, cool. That's always difficult, right? And I have a lot of people ask that. Well, how do I know where and when, right? So it's kind of, it sounds like once again, it's that give it a moment type
Hmm.
of situation which you were talking about before. And then I want to talk a little bit about, I heard you say something, we were talking about an anthology that you're a part of. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes, I am excited. I spoke about the calm method earlier. I am a part of a leadership anthology coming out, coming
Oh,
soon. And the visionary is Angela Hooper Minifield, and she brought together several of us co-authors. And I would like to, basically give high level what my chapter was on. The decision making process was something that was on my radar for many years as I talked about my own journey and navigating transitions. So when the opportunity came for me to uh, happen to, write this chapter that was actually in alignment with my own journey, I
wow.
wrote the chapter on decision making under pressure, thriving in
Oh.
uncertainty. And high level, my
Mm,
chapter talks about how I arrived where I was, because the most frequently asked question that I get, besides "Hi, how are you?" and how's your family? How's Higher Mountaintops?" is how in the world did you become an entrepreneur? And I wanted
mm-hmm,
to articulate that in a way that would resonate with the reader, but also make it real and be very open and candid that it was a
mm,
journey and I didn't have all the answers figured out. And the creation and the birth of Higher Mountaintops is because I went through that process. And then also as a result, my gift to early professional women ultimately being that calm method to help them also to rise and thrive in uncertainty,
mhm.
just as I did.
Cool. So, what would a young professional look like? Describe one that would need your services.
Mhm. Yeah, when I think about those who I'm looking to add value to and early professional women, I'm thinking about the early professional woman who is starting her career, who is excited, ready to step into the workforce and finds herself within a couple of months. It's been 6 months and still feeling like, am I good enough? Is this really
Mm,
what I'm supposed to be doing? I
mm,
mean, I really thought that it was going to feel different. I feel like many times I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing.
wow.
Now I am a leader in many ways. People are looking to me for guidance. How do I navigate this journey? So I'm thinking about the early professional in that position who's starting her career. I'm thinking about the early professional woman who is looking to advance in her career, who year after year, it's now the second year again, celebrating New Year's, setting her goals, created the vision board, and finds herself every year, middle of the year, thinking, still haven't applied for that job, still
Hmm.
haven't reached out to apply for that promotion. And I'm thinking about the woman who's thinking, you know what? I know I poured everything I could into this career, but there's something more for me to do. And I believe it's time to pivot, but I'm not sure
Mm,
how to do that. I'm actually fearful. I'm scared. I thought that I was supposed to be here.
hmm,
Or like
hmm,
there's something else I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm not sure how to do that. And if you are in that position, the difference between where I was and where I am today is just taking action and following that nudge. And so I encourage you to reach out to me at my website, www.highermountaintops.com, and let's have a conversation. Let me discover where you are and what you are looking to do in the future. And I know we have the calendar year, but it's never too late to reset. And that's really what I'm here to do, support early professional women.
Thank you so much. I was going to ask you, how do they find you, right? I love the higher mountaintops. I love that. Is there a reason for that being the name?
Yes. Higher mountaintops, the name came to me before I knew what it was, and it came from this awareness that there was more. And I remember thinking about the elevation of my trajectory of my life, reaching the
Mhm.
height of my career as a dentist, and thinking back to, thriving, and then thinking about, is this it? And realizing
Mhm.
that there was more potential with me, available for me, and there was more to give. And so the name Higher Mountaintops, it's a metaphor for there is greatness, there's potential, there's so much more that we have to give. And it's not even just about the career development, it's about becoming the woman that I ought to, be. A woman who is confident, a woman that is there to, really fully embrace who she is. And as a result of the self work, she's able to then give that back to the world. And so that's what Higher Mountaintops represents.
I love it. I love it. So if I'm at work and I don't feel like I have a voice, or if I'm in the car in the parking lot for elongated periods of time before going in, because I've got those butterflies in my stomach, because I'm not quite sure if this is where I want to go, or if I've been tinkering around with a business, but not sure if I have the confidence level, or sure how to navigate changing from a 9 to 5 to an entrepreneur, is that somebody you would help? Is that, am I
Absolutely.
the perfect client for you?
Absolutely.
What are some of the feelings? What are some of the emotions that women have before they come to you?
Mhm. And I think, I appreciate that you talked about the candidness is what I like to
Mhm.
say, and the transparency. I like to model that, and that's why I share my story very frequently, where I was. And there's fear, but then there's also then a feeling of not belonging.
Mm.
Also say, that can also create then anxiousness,
Mhm.
can also create a sense of worry, and it can also create a sense of regret. And
So
those
after, go
things,
ahead, I'm
that
sorry.
can be pain points.
Right. So after I've worked with you, what are some of my words that I will use to describe myself?
Mhm. I am looking for the early professional women to really take ownership of their journey and their space, and to really be able to articulate that they have clarity, and also that they say they've got this as well, one of my
Mm.
favorite phrases, and to really say that I belong here.
Mm. No fake it till you make it, but I'm here and I've arrived.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, Dr. Sissy, where else can we find you? Because I know there's so many women that are going to be watching and they're going to have to connect with you. So,
Mhm.
where else can they find you? You gave us the website. Anywhere else? Any social medias?
Yes, yes, yes. You can find me. I am on LinkedIn, my Facebook page under my name, Tsitsi Hungwe, and they can also find me, on my YouTube channel, where I create content as well for women to be able to get some tips and learn. And, there will be more content as well being unveiled through my YouTube channel, to be able to help them, have some degree of interaction with me and engage. And
Mhm.
so the many platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn under my name, and then as well
Okay.
my YouTube channel, they're all under my name. And then there's also a Facebook page under the Higher Mountaintops name.
Cool, cool. Dr. Setsi, thank you so much. This has been enlightening. It's awesome to know that although we may feel that we have it together, there's someone that can help us navigate to make
Mhm.
sure that all the pieces are there. I used to say when you come out, you would get dressed, and someone would always check your dress to make sure your outfit was okay. There was nothing kind of on the back, hanging out the back. To me, it
Mhm.
sounds like that's what you're doing for women, right? They've already got all the skills, they've got all the education, but they just need that the extra push. So
Mhm.
thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for empowering the next generation of young women leaders. Any last words you want to leave with the audience?
Yes, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be on DIJAH's Cafe. And my parting words for those who are listening today is, I just want to echo that. And I said this the other day that there isn't an arrival point, in life. Life is a journey. We are becoming as we navigate our journey, and let it be uh, a evidence as I've navigated my own journey over the years that, you belong, you've got this. And I also want to encourage early professional women that yes, we have the start of the year, we have January 1st, but let's think about how can we reset. And so it's never too late to reset, to re-strategize. And I encourage you, if you are still feeling stuck, or overwhelmed would be another feeling as well, to reach out, and that could be the next best step to help you to step into your greatness.
Thank you so much. Well, audience, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Dr. Sissy gave you a whole lot of what we call tea to put in your cup and sip on for a good long time. Please reach out to her, ladies, if in fact you need that empowerment. We don't do it alone. We are not islands. We do need more. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. As always, welcome. Have a good evening and keep it real, relevant, and rooted in purpose, and always develop it just as it happens. Take care. Thank you for joining us for another episode of DIJAH's Cafe. See you next time, and remember always develop it just as it happens.